Wanted to take this time to make this video today because of some of the synchronicities that are going on. The synchronicities are clues. They're the reality's way, or your higher self's way, of giving you clues to let you know you're going the right direction or the wrong direction. Now, um, prime example. I was listening to the Franz Barden book, uh, Frabato, the Magician, which I'd heard this book before. It's a very interesting story. And he wrote this story. He was around in the early 1900s, maybe up into the 50s, because he was involved in some of the World War II stuff. He's a Czech magician, uh, member of the White Brotherhood. Uh, Not the Aryan Nation, the White Brotherhood, like the Shambhala guys. And what was I trying to say? Okay, so he wrote the story for Bato the Magician, and it has a lot of things in there that explains some of the events he went through in his life. And he was an interesting sort of magician because if he did the stage stuff, um, but he was doing the hypnotism and wasn't doing like stage magic, making shit disappear, no shit like that. Sort of like the Prestige, where it has Tesla in it. It's sort of where these two worlds sort of come together. So what had happened was the the secret society of evil ones that were in the society and using their connections to steal the money and all that shit used a directed energy weapon on him and his partner, and they'd used it before. They kept it in a certain room and locked it, and they brought it out and they set it up and they put their picture of who they want to be the target, and then they were cooking them essentially. They said everyone that had it was attacked with this thing before, and they all died. They died of strokes. That's what it says in the book. Now, what he did, Forbato used water once he realized he was being attacked, and he drew the frequencies to the water, and it still nearly cooked him. Now, we've experienced this here. Whether or not this is part of the earth changes or directed energy weapons from the McCall people back there, McCall Ranch, your fucking weird electronics, they got them. But we experienced this here, and I was listening to that story, and there was some real synchronicities to it. Listening to it again, now listening to the quantum consciousness channel, which is way too much synchronicities to where I unsubscribed briefly and then came back on. But he was describing it like his last video was explaining, like if he were to be commenting on my own video that I made, where I was showing that if you massage your neck in the back and you get your sinus stuff drained loose, that you could get that pump motion going of your spinal column to get that wave to help you go through the higher frequencies. He was talking about somebody being dementored. And as I had made mine in infrared, I was like, I wonder if he watched it and that's his perspective. Like, why make the video about somebody being dementored when you just need to hang on to your life? You're under attack. That could be one perspective, it would seem. But then again, I don't think I was doing anything wrong making the instructional video because I still was hanging on for my dear life too. There's not going to be a stopping of that. But it was just something I was interested in that I thought I would share because I also got another the Tesla one that they use these for an orgone bubble generator, which I do believe is the matrices that are generated are now generated again using this land place a combination of that. And then I got a new component for it because I plugged it into the yard, wired to the river, scaled it up. It was crazy. Like I was going out there in the corner of the yard out there where I have a wire running into the river, one induction wire, it's a fucking wire, and it runs up the fence line and goes to the front of the property. And then along different points, there are places in the yard where you find that flow up and down of the magnetism, the pressure. I don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely you can feel it. And if you need to have energy in or you need to take energy out, you could use those for your other more more than immediate body bubble. You have other bubbles of energy that you have to worry about. Your physical body is going to be your closest one, obviously. But if you're having nightmares and dreams, then it might be your 50 feet out bubble that you need to look at what's going on in that area. That's just the way it is. It's basically concentric circles around you that are embedded into each other, and at certain distances out, you will find corresponding shenanigans if you got stuff going on. That's why this phone, everybody's phone, looking at you, seeing what you're doing, it's already using the black mirror technology. You know, when it gets in there, and you have to have anyone that gets in there, and if they're next to you, see, this is the contract I have with my phone, that I will not use the phone beyond the parent-child relationship that I would have to have with my own kids. And I just watched the TV show where they had the psychic kid wearing the bag on his head, and his dad was the Cro-Mag. They slid to an alternate world. This is what's cool about science fiction, because it's almost like watching the weather. It's like watching the traffic in a higher dimensional sort of weird way of what's going on in the how the world is being steered through the higher vectors of space, the different dimensionalities. It's sort of like going, if you go into an alternate reality, parallels right next to you. Alternate reality could be this parallel reality, but you got up and overs. Reality's going this way. Does that make sense? We travel along those lines, although we don't see it. And the line of when they say the waveform collapses, that's the line. See what I'm saying? So there was a lot of synchronicities, which is all I want to say, and there's a lot of them today. And they bear out one good thing is that basically all the functions of even the higher winged, eared uh, monster man from fucking uh, what is it? Morty? What is it? Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty. Rick Sanchez. Ah. So, this Rick Sanchez is definitely that's an excellent truth dropping ass show. A lot of real shit in that cartoon. I've watched a few of them. I think they're great. But there's some places where the genetically modified males have little arms on their heads, and they're being used. They have women flying on spaceships as Amazons. Basically, the Amazon women probably could have taken over this reality. They could be the deep state. We'll start calling them the Amazons. They must be. I think they are. Looking at the Amazon boxes from the stuff I'd ordered from Amazon, Jeff Bezos doesn't look like an Amazon. That doesn't mean he's not an Amazon. It might be Josephine Bezos. Looks like a man. She look like a man. That's all I have to say.